What is up, Los Angeles? This is your host, Skinny T. This is the Rams LAFB show coming at you on Monday after a Rams victory against the Ravens team, the battered and the bruised Ravens team. They come out on top 17-3, was it? Wow. What a game. We talked about that yesterday on our live recap show with both Aaron Coscarelli and Brittany McReynolds, the great Brittany. A lot to talk about there. And one of the questions I've been posing everybody that I've had on the show is, where does this team rank in the NFC? And nobody can really give me a straight answer. And I don't even have a straight answer. So I brought in one of our newest writers, Byron Terry, coming at you from Atlanta, Georgia, Rams fan, Rams writer, to help us figure out what is going on at the top of the NFC. The Rams are there for sure, but where exactly are they in the hierarchy? We'll get into all of that. But the big news coming out of Sunday is Puka Nacua, ankle injury, sounding doubtful for the game against the Jaguars. So we'll get into that as well. But first and foremost, Byron, how you doing? Welcome to the show. First time. Awesome, man. How we doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing? Excited to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on. I am well. I'm doing really well. I'm always excited to have new guests on here. I tend to repeat myself. I talk about the Rams a lot, and so it's good to get other perspectives on what's going on in here. But yeah, like I teased at the top, we're going to talk about Puka Nacua. But before that, Sleeper Fantasy, our sponsor all year long. We've got a code that you guys can use to get $100 if you put $100 in. Rams LAFB up to $100. If you put $100 in, they're going to give you $100. Put 5 in, they're going to give you 5. What can you do with that money? You can win cold hard cash with that money that they're going to give you. So they have a daily fantasy. You can do it across all sports, not just football. You can do it on basketball, which is coming up soon. We got hockey going on. We got the Dodgers in the playoffs. You can pick 2 to 8 players, just kind of over under yards or goals or anytime touchdowns, all that fun stuff. And there's a social aspect to it. You can play with your friends. You can meet new Rams fans. You can go trash on some 49ers fans if you want. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can do with Sleeper Fantasy. Go check it out. Download it. It's the fastest growing app like this out there. It's starting to beat the competition. Great interface. Lots of fun bets. Go check that out. Rams LAFB is the code. All one word. Check it out. Okay. Puka Nacua. How are you feeling when you saw him writhing in pain in the end zone, trying to break up what could have been an interception? Like I said, McVay sounds pretty down that he's going to be available for this week. Heading into the bye week, though, we'll see what happens on the other side of that. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, I'm sure Rams fans were holding their breath when they saw him go down, and it was just like, oh, no. Their best player, or maybe their best player, their second or third best player, is down on the field, and that's never a good sight to see, especially for one of your best players, or really any player, but especially one like Puka Nacua. And I was just like, wow, oh no, this could be bad. But it was good to see him get up. He kind of limped to the locker room and everything, okay, which is a bit promising, especially getting up on their own power, walking off. But when he came back, he only played 6 total plays in the second half and was not very involved in the offense. So you could tell that something was wrong. And so that'll definitely be a sight to see with him possibly not being able to go against the Jaguars.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the year, including the last game, 616 yards. The total that the Rams have in total receiving yards is 1,684. So obviously a big percentage of that. We don't need to read off the numbers necessarily to know what a big part of the offense he is. But it is pretty astounding when you think about just what a large part of the offense he has been. Also on the ground, he had that big gainer, 45 yards on the ground against the Titans, who didn't seem to want to tackle him. But then, bunch of targets, 65 targets. Next on that list is Davante Adams with 55. After that, it's Kyren Williams with 23 targets. So obviously, Davante Adams is going to become a much bigger part of this offense heading into this week. from what you've seen out of Davante so far, is it just going to be the Davante Adams show, or do you see it kind of going down a different way?
I don't think it'll be just a Davante Adams show. I think they're going to get Davante way more involved than they have been before. I know he was brought in to be the sort of number 2 receiver to Puka, but he still has a lot of good production, still produces on the field. So I think it'll be him, Tyler Higbee, Kobe Parkinson, Kyren Williams, kind of spreading the ball out a little bit more than how they do it with Puka in the game. But I still think Davante Adams is one of the best route runners in the league. I think he's one of the best route runners ever. Even though he's in his 30s, he can still get open and create separation at a high level. So I think that'll be pretty exciting to see. He's also on my fantasy team. But I'm a huge Davante Adams fan. I've watched a lot of film on him, and he definitely still has it. So I can definitely see him getting the ball a lot more now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's something about a Sean McVay whose back is against the wall, and Puka Nacua on the bench not playing does kind of put his back against the wall. We saw Sean McVay, be a lot more aggressive when he started to lose some faith in Joshua Carty, which is a topic for a different day, but started going for it on 4th downs at a higher rate and being a little bit successful at the very least with against the Ravens. So I think this is going to force his hand. I think Kyren Williams, we're already seeing an uptick in his ability to play in the passing game, his usage in the passing game, that is. Obviously those two. And then the big question marks, you've already brought it up, the tight ends. Could this be a Terrence Ferguson kind of breakout game? Is this when he gets put into the offense more, or are they going to wait until after the bye to kind of reassess where he is within the offense? And then the big question after that is, traditionally, who is the wide receiver 3 in this offense after Puka and Davante? It's been kind of Jordan Whittington, a little bit of Tutu Atwell, who missed this game with a bit of a hamstring issue, should be back. I'm super interested to see how they use those two guys, because they've been big question marks, but they obviously both have a lot of talent. Jordan Whittington does a lot of the dirty work and the blocking stuff, and that they love to see. And then what are your thoughts on Tutu in this offense? Re-signed to a 1-year, $10 million contract. Couple of good plays, couple of big games, but never has really materialized as a every down threat for this offense. What are your thoughts on Tutu?
I like Tutu. First, I like his name, but I also like him as a player too. And I think the Rams use him pretty well, especially for his skill set. I just think right now he's more of I don't want to say gadget player, but more so of, okay, we'll give you a few jet sweeps here and there. We'll throw you the ball on a screen and we'll throw it to you deep whenever necessary. And it seems like, whenever his name does get called upon, he does make plays. And so I think that is something to build off on. But he's definitely going to have to step up, especially in Puka's absence, and just see kind of where he is. But I think just overall, Matthew Stafford loves throwing the ball to the tight ends anyway. And so I think the tight ends are definitely going to see the ball a little bit more. But again, with Puka out, I think Tutu will definitely get some more catches.
All right. What do you think? Over under 3.5 targets for Terrence Ferguson against the Jags?
Over.
All right. I love it.
I say 4.
I'm writing it down. 4 targets. All right. Okay, so the big question that's been on my mind that I can't really answer. It doesn't seem like anybody else has an answer for it. This year is sort of drunk in the NFL. We're seeing good teams lose. We're seeing bad teams win. We're seeing weird quarterback decisions. We're seeing Jackson Dart in there, Dylan Gabriel, no Shedeur Sanders. And that's not even the NFC. But we were talking about what is our top 5. And I kind of have a top 8, but 2 different tiers within that, still question marks at the NFC. So I'll just go through my top 5, and then you can go through yours, and we'll just kind of hash it out. So mine are as follows: 1 to 5, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams at 3, Lions, and then Packers. That's my top tier. That's my top 5. And then rounding it out, I've knocked the 49ers out of the top 5. They're too hurt. And unless they make a big move on defense, I can't, like, they're not going anywhere, I don't feel like. Commanders, big game tonight. I actually put them ahead of the Eagles.
Wow.
At number 8. Yeah, I know. And the reason my thinking on this is, no dominant team, a lot of stuff in the middle. All of these teams have looked beatable, including the Rams. And they all need to flip some switches before the playoffs come around, before I can really know exactly what they are. So this is kind of like who has the fewest switches to flip sort of ranking. And for me, the Buccaneers keep winning. So you got to put them up there. They're decimated by injuries. Their offensive line has been hit. So our top 5 have almost the same teams, a little bit different order. Go ahead and rattle those off.
So for me, I would have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 1. And then I'll put the Seattle Seahawks at 2, especially with their win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then at 3, I'm going to go the Green Bay Packers. 4, I'm going to go LA Rams. And then 5, I know they just lost recently, but I still feel like if they can put it together, they'll be an even better team. But the Philadelphia Eagles.
At number 5. All right, let's start with. I think most people would agree with us that Bucks Seahawks is the right answer right now. I touched on it. The Bucks just keep winning. Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind. Emeka Buka doesn't sound like his injury is going to be super serious. Might miss some time, I think, is the last thing I heard on him. But nothing crazy there. Eventually, it seems like they're going to get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Abuka all on the field at the same time, which is kind of scary. Maybe Bucky Irvin comes back. That's even scarier. Vita Vea looked amazing against the 49ers. Really scary there. So you got to feel really good about them. Seahawks, surprising. What are your thoughts on the Seahawks? What switches do they need to flip, and what's working for them right now?
I think the Seahawks have done really well. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been balling out. He has a case to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now, and I think he kind of already is, especially to be so early in his career. But I think they've been doing a pretty good job. I think their defense needs to be a little bit better. And I feel like their secondary needs to be a little bit better as well. But overall, I think they're solid for the most part. Sam Darnold has really surprised me this season. I know he played really good last season, and a lot of people weren't expecting that. Then he goes to the Seahawks. They signed him to a big contract, and people were saying, well, I don't know. Is Sam Darnold really going to be that good? He just got this contract. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's actually played really well and surprised a lot of people. So I think he's been doing a really good job, and things have been pretty much clicking for them on all cylinders, especially getting JSN the ball, and they've looked pretty good. So I definitely think that they kind of have that reign as the number 2 team in the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, so you're pointing out Sam Darnold. You're pointing to him as a large positive. I agree. He's been playing well. I always wonder, we saw him kind of fall apart later in the season. I wonder if that's in store or if that was just something that was going on. The Vikings defense is very gadgety. The Rams were able to dissect it twice. So maybe that played into how that team fell apart last year. The defense has been a bit banged up on the back end, so we'll give them a pass on that, and it sounds like everybody's going to come back from that perspective as well. I still like them at number 2. You have the Packers over the Rams. They tied the Cowboys 40-40. I like the Packers. I want they were once they got Micah Parsons, I was like, this is over. They're the best team, and they haven't really been able to impress me since kind of losing and tying. Decent, good game. They really put Jacksonville in the ringer. Kind of gave the Rams a good blueprint about how to go after this team, I feel like. So, I mean. So we're talking about what switches do they need to flip? From your perspective, why do you rank them 3-4 like that?
I would say with the Packers, just the amount of playmakers they have on offense. And then with Puka being hurt, I feel like things might kind of slow down a little bit. And also, the Rams have some injuries on the offensive line, so I don't want to really put them right at 3 just yet. I feel like the Packers are a little bit more healthy, and Jordan Love has been playing pretty well. I expected him to be better throughout the season thus far, but he kind of hasn't been. But I feel like they'll get better as the season goes along. And then with their running game with players like Josh Jacobs, and he's been amazing. I feel like the Rams running game needs to be a little bit better for them to sort of be put up there. But I feel like the Packers defense with players like Micah Parsons and others, they've just been wreaking havoc on other teams' quarterbacks. So I'd probably have to put them up there over the Rams.
All right. Let me get your take on the Rams. What have you seen? I'm on the record. I've talked multiple times about what the improvements I need to see: consistency on offense, third downs, red zone. What's your perspective?
I think they do got to get better in the red zone. I think they do have to play a bit better overall. I think their running game needs to be a little bit better. I know Kyren Williams has kind of been fumbling the ball a little bit, and there's kind of been some, I don't want to say turmoil, but there's kind of been a few too many mistakes for him, especially running the ball. Now, catching it, blocking, pass protection and everything, that's been fine, but they got to get better running the ball, got to protect the ball more. But what surprised me is that they weren't able to score as many points against the Ravens defense with it being depleted. I don't think Kyle Hamilton played. I don't think a lot of Ravens defenders played that game, and they were still only able to score 17 points. And I felt like with such a depleted Ravens defense, they should have scored more points, even with Puka's absence in the second half, with them not being that involved in the offense. So I was kind of surprising, like, why aren't you scoring a lot of points against a defense that's already kind of depleted and has been playing that well this season? But the Ravens defense did surprise me, and I was like, okay, that's different than what we've seen so far this year. And just knowing Sean McVay and how he is as an offensive play caller, I expected them to be a little bit better. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I was thinking they could score at least 30 points on this defense. And I can no longer talk myself into this team scoring 30 points ever. I guess, the saving grace has always been the last 2 years they've gone on a late season run, strung together a lot of wins and got more consistent heading into the playoffs. Will that happen this year? You're talking about Kyren Williams inconsistency. My theory has it kind of going against the offensive line. I feel like Kevin Dotson hasn't been as good as he was going back to 2023 when I thought he played lights out, and they just kept running between he and Rob Havenstein on the right side and just picking up 4, 6, 8 yards a carry. Just haven't been able to find that magic there. And the offensive line hasn't been great in pass protection, I don't feel like. From inconsistent across the board, I would say. What do you think that there's a Kyren thing going on, or is there an offensive line thing going on?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both. And I think one of the plays Kyren had fumbled on recently, I want to say it was against the 49ers, is he was taking a pitch and he looked up and he saw a defender in his face automatically, and he was like, whoa, and then drops the ball. But I don't want to blame him too much on that, because you're sitting there in the backfield, okay, you're getting the pitch from Matthew, catch it, and then somebody's right there in your face automatically because, one of the offensive linemen kind of messed the assignment up on that. So I get the reason why he fumbled on that play, but I would say it's both.
Yeah. All right. So you had Lions. No, you didn't have the Lions in the top 5. Eagles. Okay.
Eagles.
So why not the Lions? Why the Eagles?
The Lions disappointed me against the Chiefs. They disappointed me as soon as, I want to say late in the fourth quarter, as soon as they scored and it was like 30-17, I cut the game off. I was like, I've seen enough. I don't need to see any more. I have my answer. I know the Eagles didn't play particularly well against the Giants, which surprised me a lot. And I felt like that was supposed to be their sort of coming out game to show people like, hey, we're still the defending champs and everything's okay. We got it. But the Lions didn't really impress me that much. I thought they were going to score more points, and I feel like they were going to get some other players involved a bit more than they did, but they just didn't have it against Steve Spagnuolo in that defense. They just didn't have it. And I was feeling like when I was watching the game, I'm like, dude, y'all's defense has played good. The Lions defense has played good, but if you're going against the Chiefs, you got to be better, and you got to do a better job of playing assignment football. If you're playing that zone coverage, they're going to throw the out to Travis Kelce a lot. So you just have to be ready for that. If he catches it inside, then he catches it inside. If anything, don't let him get the out routes like they always do. But another thing I was watching is Patrick Mahomes was doing that little pitch play that he always does. I think he does it every single game. Not every game, but often, so often that you kind of know that it's coming, especially in short yardage situations. Excuse me. So he'll take the ball and he'll act like he's pitching it to the running back, and then he just runs up the field and gets 10, 12 yards like he always does. And I was watching one of the Lions defenders, and I'm like, dude, when Pat fakes that pitch, do not move. Whatever's going on over there has nothing to do with you until the ball is out. Like if your job is the quarterback and you have man on the quarterback, and then you have the pitch guy that's man on the running back or whoever's getting the pitch, do not worry about anything that's going on over there. Pat fakes the pitch, linebacker loses his leverage, and Pat runs for a touchdown. I'm like, dude, if anything, put the pressure on Mahomes and go make him pitch the ball. Don't just fall for it. He lost his leverage and he scores a touchdown. I'm like, dude, come on, man. It was just ridiculous. So based on the way that their defense played and how lackluster their offense looked a good bit of the game, I couldn't put them at 5 anymore.
So this is my problem with this is I've already want to change my rankings. My top 3 are set, though. I feel good about Bucks, Seahawks, Rams. But the rest of this is just a mess. Like I can't now after you listening to you, I want to move the Lions down and the Packers up. I'm not ready to put here's why I can't put the Eagles up there. Is they can't seem to figure out how to use the run and the pass in the same game. It's like you got Saquon Barkley back there. You got to use him against the Giants. And I get it. Like you don't want to abuse him. And one of the interesting statistics, he's been used a lot more in pass protection this last year than he did in 2024. And that's a problem because it's something that Kyren Williams last year was the number 1 pass protecting back in the league just by snap counts. He had 179, I think, and nobody was within 50 of that, I don't think.
Oh my
Davante Williams in Denver was the next one. I don't remember how close, but it was a good amount. But you just take him out as an offensive weapon. It's like that's what he does. It's like making AJ Brown go wash dishes instead of play wide receiver. Anyway, so that's why I can't put the Eagles in the top 5 right now. Kind of a wild card for me, and we'll see what happens tonight. Commanders, where do you rank them? Are they out? Are they near the top 5? Do they need? Can they get into the top 5 after this? After Monday night?
I'd have the Commanders around like 6 or 7.
Okay,
maybe 8, just because Jaden Daniels hasn't been healthy the whole season. If he was healthy the whole season, yeah, sure, top 5 or 6, something like that. But just because he just got back, but he had a pretty good game against the Chargers, did well. I think they won also. And so they're playing again tonight, and so I just need to see a little bit more. Got to see a little bit more from that team and Jaden in general, and then after that, then we could possibly talk about putting them in the top 5.
Yeah, I'd like to see a step forward from their defense as well. So, yeah, I think this has helped. This has been like a little bit of an NFC therapy session for me, so I don't feel so crazy. Because you get on Rams Twitter and it's like either this team is 15th or number 1, and that's exaggeration, but yeah, this is definitely helped. How did you become a Rams fan?
So a lot of people don't know this, but my 2 favorite teams in the NFL are the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Giants. A lot of people don't know this, and I've been a fan of them just because of the Mannings, and the Colts were one of the first teams I saw play in the NFL, but they were also one of the first teams I saw play in person when they were playing against the Falcons a long time ago. And I wanted to see Peyton Manning in person, so I had to go. And I'm just like, Peyton, just screaming as when I was really young. And But I like the Falcons just being from Georgia. But I paid a lot of attention to the Rams since I want to say 2016 or 17 in the whole Todd Gurley era. Todd Gurley was just amazing. And then I really like Sean McVay. I love Sean McVay as a play caller, and I like his coaching style. He's younger. He's still in his 30s, I believe, or almost at 40. And so I like his style of coaching and him being able to relate to the players. And there was once upon a time, him and Matthew Stafford, weren't they in high school at the same time? So, but Sean's just a little bit older than Matthew, so it's like not bad. But I just like the way he coaches and his offensive mind. And whenever I'm coaching football, it could be 7-on-7 or just calling plays offensively. I would like to joke and say I'm the Black Sean McVay or Black Kyle Shanahan. So I would always joke around and say that. But I started paying attention to the Rams then, and then when they went to the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp was just on a tear that season. I watched a lot of film on him, and so I started paying a lot of attention to him. And they had Odell Beckham, and I was like, okay, this is pretty nice. And so I just kept up with them since then, kind of from a fan's perspective, but just I'm a big fan of football, so I like to pay attention to them. But I've never been to LA before. I would love to go someday, but it's kind of how it started. I did have a gripe with Sean McVay a little bit when season 2 of Quarterback came out, when Jared Goff was saying there wasn't really a conversation with Sean about, why he's trading Jared and everything like that. And I was like, oh, Sean, come on now. Because, at least, you got to give him that, at least owe Jared Goff that. But I get it, though. It's a business. But I was kind of a little bit ticked off with Sean about that. But it's all good, though. I get it. But yeah,
I love that. You're good on X's and O's and heart and souls. How do you like? Do you like that? I just came up with
for
that.
sure.
Cool, man. Well, Byron Terry, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for writing with us. If you guys see any articles out there by him, definitely check it out. He's got his stuff together. He's got his X's and O's and hearts and souls together. Tell them where they can find you out there on the internet. Obviously, writing for LAFBnetwork.com, so you can see his stuff there. But where else?
Yes, sir. And you all can follow me on Twitter, or X as they call it now, and Instagram at BJT_ERA. So BJT_era.
Right on. And you got a podcast of your own, right?
Yes, I do. It's called the BJT Show. It features vlogs of what it's like being a sports broadcaster, a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, as analysis, player breakdowns, debates, just me talking about whatever news is going on in sports. And it also has an interview segment where I interview current and former college and pro athletes and just get in their perspectives. I've had some Super Bowl champions on there, some college football national champions on there. So it's been pretty nice.
Oh, we'll try to get you some Rams on there for sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, you guys know where to find me. RL Anderson, LAFB on Twitter. LAFB Network everywhere else. Rams LAFB. You can find us. You can Google us. We're not hard to find. Rams LAFB on YouTube. Give us a subscription, like and follow, and all that good stuff. We would really appreciate that. And definitely check out Sleeper. Rams LAFB is the code. Get 100 if you put $100 in. Go win yourself some cold hard cash and a good time paying attention to sports, which is always fun. Always appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.